had slaves, that kind of thing. He doesn't want to talk about the fact of his particular position in this particular equation that we see right now, this dynamic, this social dynamic. But since the Caucasoid came out of the caves and was given the technology by us, okay, and we gave it over to him through Abraham and everybody that they talk about in the book. Do you know that he killed off 58 million native peoples or autochthonous peoples? And I'm not just talking about the ones that came from Asia. I'm talking about the black population that was here, the true indigenous people. He killed off something like 18 million in World War I and 80 million in World War II. Europeans killed. Let's not even talk about King Leopold, who killed 50 million Africans. And yet still they're telling you that Hitler was the one that's the most heinous. This white man is about a death cult. That's all he knows. Even the woman, what's her name? I forgot her name. She said that the white man didn't ever bring a damn thing to civilization. He never even brought religion. Matter of fact, everything that they're worshiping now, this Jesus the Christ and the whole 9 yards, was a black religion. They had no religion. You are the ones that are the saviors of humanity, and they fear that because they would no longer exist. Their whole mentality would die, and that is what you see today. Everything about what the European brings is a death cult. And the only time that you see the peace that they're having is because their people who are benefiting from it are saying, you know what, it's enough blood. I'm tired. Let me put my sword up. You want me to go kill more people? Why is it that the United States has over 150 different military bases around the planet, more than anybody else on the planet? Does Russia have any kind of military bases on our soil? Does China? Oh, China now, yeah, because they're bringing China up through the southern border, and they're housing them in the military bases because they're the ones who have cut in. Because you got to remember, Mao Zedong was actually trained by the Jesuits.
Right.
And that so-called communism was actually from the Jesuits.
Right.
So you have to understand what's happening. We're under attack. It's a subtle form of attack, but they're using all the different points. You're not just using one weapon. It's psychological, of course. And they had to get to the one that would underpin our total civilization, and that is, and they hate to say it, but they hate me for saying it, and that's the woman.
Doc, let me ask you this, Doc. So one of the things that I get out, I've been interviewing you for years. So one of the things I've seen people say when I interview you and they hear how you talk, and they're like, wow, but they're like, that's a white man talking. They're like, who? Not everybody, but I'm saying some people be like that. Wow, why is this white man talking like that? I want to ask you, being that, considering what and you've talked before about, your the blood and your lineage, and the Caucasian and your lineage, and we all mixed.
Yeah.
But you've talked directly about, your white blood. How do you feel being the founder, one of the pioneers in this metaphysical movement, and having so much white blood running through you? Considering that you say what you say, Doc, but you have been as successful as you have been with the bloodline that you have.
Yeah.
Do you give credit to that bloodline the same bloodline that you criticize, or do you feel as though that bloodline is irrelevant to all your accomplishments because you are an extremely accomplished metaphysical elder in the black community? What's your thoughts on that, my brother?
Well, West Indies, where I come from, the West Indies, which my family is West Indian, they all mixed up. I'm talking about Chinese, Indian, black, white. It's actually a cornucopia.
Okay.
And a mixture. That's where I come from.
Okay.
I looked at somebody asked me, because I'm dealing with the blood right heirs now, which is going to be very powerful. And when I did the 23andMe, I found out it goes all the way back. I will go all the way back to what's his name? The pharaoh. That I have the blood of Ramesses II.
Okay. Okay.
because I know he had like 230 children.
Mm.
Same thing with what's his name, Genghis Khan.
230?
Yeah, 230 children. Yeah,
Shit. Wow.
yeah. So, and you know, we are migrants. We go back and forth, and so what you're looking at back and forth, and if you're dealing with lineages, um, my lineage, I remember I saw my aunt, and she was Tutsi,
Mm-hmm.
and my aunt was laying on a bed, and she was like 6 feet, 6 feet one, 6 feet two.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember walking, I was little, and I remember walking from her feet. It looked like it took me years just to get to where she was at her head, because she was so tall. Also, I have Fulani,
Mm-hmm.
in, but of course, I have also Portuguese or Portuguese,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the white part of me.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was Indian,
Mm-hmm.
was I think I showed everybody that too. Showed you his picture as well, and he as the as d- a Indian who was from the from the Indian. I'm not talking about an Indian over here. I'm talking about an Indian in India.
Mm-hmm.
He's from that. He married my my grandmother who was Portuguese.
Okay.
And that's where I get the light skin from because he's dark skin. He's really deep dark
Right.
skin.
Right.
So
Okay.
I mean, I can't help where I come from, but I know my mother was staunch, hated that because when a lot of the kids used to come, used to say, "Well, you got that good hair." My mother would go ape shit. What do you mean good hair? What's good and what's bad about the hair? Because
Mhm.
you can't turn it white? What's that? So my mother was the one who was the activist. She was there. My father was the historian. He
Mhm.
read the books. He got me into reading.
Ah.
My mother was the staunch. She was down with the Panthers,
Mhm.
and she was down with Sonny Carson
Mhm.
with with supporting his thing, and Walter the Stewart. All these people were the ones that were fighting for the community.
Indeed.
So, well, like I was saying to you, man, my white skin, if they say I'm white, is because they don't know what light skinned niggas look like. I can show you some white, and that's what's pissed me off because the NBA got a whole lot of light skinned white niggas, and these people are taking over. They do it. You see what's his name did at the slam dunk contest? That you can't have light skinned niggas doing that because after Michael Jordan, you're supposed to be only having black people playing. That's ridiculous. Y'all need to grow up.
Right. Right. Right.
Ridiculous.
Excellent. Let's get to a couple of questions before we get out of here, Doc.
Sure.
Once again, before we get out of here, we got you. You can support Doc on PayPal, Zelle. King Simon got some links going on in the chat. Doc has a website. He has a homeschool. He has a 1-800 number. I mean, it's all right there in the chat. I'm gonna have it in the description as well. His wife, Dr. Nalani, has a book also.
Oh
Can
yeah.
you tell the people about that real quick before we
Very
get
quick.
a couple of questions from
Very
people?
quick.
Yeah.
Mama Nalani had a rare form of cancer. I don't know if it was given to her or where it came up from, but she suddenly actually died in my arms. That's a story that was in the book, and I had to revive her. But because of the lifestyle she led, the doctor said that she had the infrastructure, the genetics, as well as uh, the cord, the blood, and the organ of a 23-year-old, and we're in our 70s. And so she was able to do what she did by going through all of what she did, the chemotherapy, dying and coming back. And that book is like a page turner about how she went through all of that. And it helps people who have been in that. And also, we're also talking about another product that we're dealing with that deals directly with the metabolic syndrome that causes obesity, high blood pressure, and all of those things. And if they want to, they can call her directly at 646-510-6702. And that's to deal with the unicity. and it's called and metabolic syndrome that's causing all of the diseases that we in the Black community are suffering from right now. So we're dealing with the Juice Plus, and we're dealing with both the Unicity. And I think that you need to call her, especially if you're having problems with high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, all of the different things that they say are endemic and intrinsic to Black culture and Black community. So I would suggest you call her. And also, you can deal with it in the book, because in the book itself, there are ways for you um, uh, to access that as well. Thank you, King Simon, once again.
Indeed, yeah. Shout out to King Simon. Let's get to a question from the family. And before I move on, family, I'm serious about making sure you support this elder. I want us to be intentional about our words. Yeah, we take care of each other. We take care of our elders. This is the perfect opportunity. Don't just let it be a fancy slogan. Don't just let it be something that you just say just to say. And listen, our time down here is limited, family. A lot of us don't make it to 100. If we do, that's absolutely amazing. I would love Doc to make it to 100, but once our folks get up in there in age, we got to make sure we want to make life as comfortable as possible for them, especially if they put in the work. This brother right here has put in over 40 years of hardcore work for the community, metaphysical. Before it was cool, before this whole the term New Age was invented, this brother was out here giving old age information. You know what I'm saying? Before the New Age, he was giving old age information. Listen, his PayPal, kemitearth@gmail.com. His website, his school, his phone number. We're gonna have it all in the description. We have it on the screen right now. King Simon also has it in the chat. Please, family, make sure you support this elder right here who has been doing so much for us throughout the years. And let's get to a question. Shout out to Ascendant Infinite Goddess with the super chat. She says, "Peace, gods. Good to see you, Dr. Phil. I thought of you about 2 days ago, and here you are in all your brilliance." Question: what does your shirt say? I know it's something wild. Hey, before the show, I said the same thing. Doc, what's your shirt say, Doc? Show
All right, okay. It says roses are red, Kamala's not Black, Joe has dementia, and Hunter's on crack.
Doc, that ain't right. Come on, man. You know that ain't right, Doc. Why you had to wear that, man? Come on, man.
You know I got to broadcast any way I can. If I'm going to be a human billboard, I'm going to say the truth.
Come on. You threw shots at Hunter, man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
You got a Hunter, Kamala, and Doc,
all of them. The entire cult.
Oh man, let's get to the next one, man. Let's get to the next question. And I'm glad this person asked this because I just seen an article saying that Warren Buffett cashed out. This question says, why do you think Warren Buffett cashed out? The head of the stock exchange cashed out. The dollar is dead, y'all. It's not a question, it's a comment. But I heard he's like taking all his money out of a lot of places. What's going on, Doc?
Redistribution.
Okay.
He knows, he's a futurist. He knows where the money is going to be made.
Okay.
And so he's into Bitcoin. He's going into XRP. He bought up a crap load of XRP. He's getting ready to go into the new forms of technology, which is he's dealing with the electrical or EV type of technologies. He's also dealing with the food industry, because now they're consolidating the food industry to become more privatized, which is what Kamala and them are getting ready to do, because Bill Gates and I think it was Bill Gates as well as Zuckerberg and who else was that? The guy who did Amazon. What was his name? Or in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And of course, everything that is created is God. You too. So when they speak about the Spirit, you're talking about an aspect of the matter that you represent. And so when we speak about that, spirit now, I say, is time. Time is an element. Without it, nothing exists. And they're only now coming to that. We've been speaking to this 30 years. Time is an element, like fire, air, water, and earth. It is the cohesive element that creates what we see as third density, or even the other densities, because fourth density deals with another time signature. Fifth density deals with another time signature, which is based upon frequency and the spin orientation of the particle. This is all the stuff that your boy, what's his name, Terrence Howard is trying to say. He ain't doing nothing. But you, me, Dr. Blair, Bobby Hemmett, he's now trying to tell everybody, here's what the solution is, and they try to shut him down, tell him he's a fool. Meanwhile, they push this asshole by the name of, what's his name, Neil deGrasse or Neil the Ass Tyson, as the person who is the new Einstein that's teaching everybody. He's a fool. He is a clown. Last person you need to listen to.
Doc, so listen, so I don't know if you've seen it, but Terrence Howard did this epic interview with Billy Carson.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he was on Billy Carson's channel. They did an interview together. I mean, there was over 12,000 people in the chat. It was a big deal.
Beautiful.
And I didn't know what level, Terrence is in Hollywood. I didn't know what level of consciousness he was going to go in on the platform. But he started talking about he was talking about how they're trying to block him.
Yeah.
And he was saying how they shouldn't be surprised because he has a 9 DNA sequence and every other race has a 6 DNA sequence.
Yeah.
And how the descendants of Africa is having, and we've all heard this before, but I didn't know he was going to go there on Billy's.
I didn't want to tell you that too. That I have a 9. I have a 9 with the first going into
I need you to elaborate on that because I didn't know he was going to go there. But talk to me about this whole, because I hear about the 9 ether versus the 6 ether, and I think Dr. York talked about that. But tell me about what he meant by he has a 9 DNA sequence in the other races outside of Africa. Yeah,
it's closer to the simian.
Talk to me.
Closer to the chimpanzee. We are not. Those are derivative qualities. Those are the derivative creations. Those are the ones that were experiments on the DNA. So I, along with others, the European man is trying to create technologies to bring him to a 12 DNA strand.
Okay.
Which is really him just giving you a higher form of his own, how do I say it, deformed self. Actually, if you're looking at the amount of DNA that we have that we're supposed to actually braid, to actually have our God self together, to breathe, to access the frequencies, you have to deal with the amount of, what do you call it, what is the Jewish alphabet? The Jewish alphabet has how many figures? How many characters? How many characters does the Jewish alphabet have?
How many?
Okay. We're supposed to have 34 to 44 strands of DNA. Everything that you see as far as is more than 34. Let me get, it's, I'm trying to remember how many of the DNA, how many of the what is it? The Kabbalah and the Jewish letters that they hid the DNA information in. That DNA strand, the strands that we have, what we call the junk DNA, is supposed to be threaded based upon our accessing higher levels through what we call consciousness accretion. Consciousness accretion is supposed to give you energy patterns directly from other consciousness as well as dimensional sequences to give you the necessary information to braid the junk into the necessary amount of braided DNA to bring you to the higher levels of consciousness. Some of us have already come back with that, as for your brother Terrence. And they can't say that because then I become a target. But then you have to understand that some have come back to teach people how to braid that necessary amount of DNA so that you can start picking up energy patterns from higher frequencies that would then download to feed your DNA patterns to braid the junk into the necessary helixes that would then give you that would ignite the lamp of God or Gad. Gad is Jewish for the head. It was actually the lamp of Gad that taketh away the sins of the world. The lamp that is the pineal that lights or illuminates the ignorance. And to do that, you have to raise Kundalini. But to raise Kundalini safely, you have to have a higher and more tensed, how do you say, tension or tension? And if you're looking at architecture and you're dealing with, setting up bridges, they set up tension or tensor wires. Well, the DNA has to become a tensor wiring in order to channel the amount of energy without burning you up, without destroying the nerve endings that would be necessary for you to raise that Kundalini up. So most of what we see today, most of what we are not dealing with today, is the fact that I got drawn a blank for the amount, and I think the people out there, please research the amount of alphabetic letters or the alpha beta letters that constitute the Jewish calendar, or the, what do you call it, the Kabbalah, and that's the amount of DNA. That's the amount of strands in the DNA that you need. Huh? my wife is trying to give me some. 22. I'm sorry, not 34. Thank you, darling. She's reading from me. Yeah, it's the 22 strands. I'm sorry, it's 22 strands. That's why 22 is such a powerful number.
Yeah,
11. So the 22 strands, the first 12, and then from there is the next 10 that has to bring up the 22 strands that are braided together, and from that point you begin to braid the original spiritual body begins to come and descend. In other words, the part of you that's your higher spiritual self begins to reacclimate to your body and lift you up and give you that knowledge.
Indeed. All right. Greetings, Dr. Valentine. Is Glint Pay still a legit investment? And is it any way you can convert it to physical gold?
Yes, you have to request the physical gold. What you have to do is you get in contact with Glint Pay, and they will then connect you directly to your website or to your account, and then you could purchase through the account. I'm connected directly to the account so that I purchase. What I do is I upload monies, fiat, to their site, and from there go over and purchase the gold, so that my balance is based upon the movement of gold. So I have, like, if I have money that constitutes $2,500, and then gold